This is what, the 6th video I've done, basically talking about my job loss. It may seem strange, and it is strange. I don't know why they're keeping me on. I haven't been able to figure that out ever since learning that they were planning to shut the department down on June 30th. I simply don't know why they didn't just cut their losses and let me go, but these are things that I'm not going to know. And the thing that bothers me the most about all of this is that they're keeping me in this state of not knowing and wanting for no other reason than to just prevent me from being able to move on. You have to understand something. No one with my years of employment at this company has ever been laid off. I'll be the first. And they're scrambling to figure out what to do. The only thing I can do is just do my job until the end, which is what I've committed myself to doing. However, the hostile work environment that has been created as a result of this is not something that can be easily undone, if ever undone. What makes this the most difficult for me is that 2 things. One, I've known that the department was coming to an end for 7 years. I actually went to the COO 7 years ago and discussed this very thing with him. The reasoning for that is because of my old boss retiring. I'd worked with him for 14 years up to that point, and I knew that he'd reached retirement age and that he was wanting to get out. But I also knew that our national ad dollars had went down significantly by that point. So by hundreds of thousands of dollars. Everything was pointing toward this as a sinking ship. So he was getting out while the getting was good. When I learned that they had no intention of hiring another salesperson, but instead internally promoting for the position of director of advertising, I knew no one else in the company had the chops that my old boss had in the sales department to carry that weight. So I immediately scheduled a meeting with the COO to discuss this matter, because at the time I had entered into an agreement to purchase the house that I'm currently living in. And that has a whole saga and a story all its own. So I went to him and I said, listen, here's the situation. I'm about to buy a new house and I can't afford this house on anything less than what I'm making now. And the likelihood I'm going to be able to find another job making what I make now is slim to none. So I have to keep my job. What I'm looking at now is the possibility of ending this deal, because I'm now afraid that the department's going to go away and I'm going to be stuck in this house that I can't get out of and I can't pay for, and it's going to get foreclosed on or whatever, worst case scenario, blah, blah, blah. I need to know that the company is going to strongly consider my years of employment, and they're going to consider the skill sets that I bring and potentially move me into another department. At that time, the COO was very reassuring. He was, trust me, I don't see why that would be a problem. I got the feeling as though it wasn't going to be an issue. As time went on and the new director stepped in, I realized that she was doing absolutely nothing to promote sales, to sell on her own. If anything, she was dodging her job. And she was also given a precarious situation of having to do both her old job and her new job, which I'm like, well, that's just kneecapping us from the beginning. And by the time I had to fire the employee that I had working under me at that time, I basically told my boss, I was like, listen, I don't think we should hire anyone because things aren't going well. And I feel like if we bring on another salary, it's just going to tank the department even harder. But the company did not agree. This is when the problems began for me, because I realized for the first time that they did not understand the situation. Even though they saw the P&Ls and saw that we were starting to go into the negative pretty hard, they were still convinced that I needed someone else to help me with the work. They didn't believe that I could handle all the work, which meant they thought we had too much work, which was just bizarre. But we went ahead and hired another person. She was in the department for 2 to 3 years, I think, before she got scared and bid off onto another job in the company. I learned the true number of how far we are in the hole. And I'm like, yeah, this isn't going to go any further. And also I learned for the first time, I'm actually having to fill out a timesheet again. And I told my boss, I was like, they're starting to look into the department now. It's like, and this is not going to end well for us, because they're going to start to understand how little production work I'm actually doing. And it's going to become an issue. Well, on the heels of that and a few other things, I decided to go have a meeting with the COO, and I explained it to him like, listen, now is the time we need to start talking about me transitioning into another department because there's not a lot going on here. For one thing, he couldn't believe I was telling him that how little work I had. I was like, would you rather have not known? Would you rather have me not come to tell you? It's like, I don't understand this tact. Like, I'm being upfront and honest with you. It's like, I'm trying to find a way to where I'm actually being fully utilized. And for a year, he just sat on that information and did nothing. Let TMS record my workflow. By the end of the year, they had already made their decision. Shortly thereafter, after they made that decision, he made the decision to end my manager status, take away my bonus, and then take away my salary, and then start the proceedings to bring the department to a close. What I didn't understand, though, was the meeting that followed in January that set this whole thing in motion, where they let me know that they're shutting the department down. Well, I guess you could say a decision has been made to end the department on June 30th if no progress is made by that point, which is ridiculous because we had 6 years under my previous boss to do something. She did nothing. They know the deficit we're in, and they know this is a battle that is too great to win. So I do not understand how this makes any sense whatsoever. I don't know what their thinking is. Maybe they think they're doing me a favor, keeping me on till July. I don't know. But that's where everything stands now. I think they think that by letting me know, I will go out and look for another job. I'll have a date. I'll have 6 months to look for a job. But the problem is they haven't told me I've lost my job. And they want me to do all this extra work. They want me to work to try to save the department. So it's conflicting information. No matter how you slice it, it was a bad call to tell me. It was a bad call for me to be in that meeting. They should never have let me know. If they were going to reorganize the department and they were going to move me over to my new boss and they were going to have me do all this additional marketing stuff and do this full court push, I would have sensed that something was happening, or maybe I would have seen it as, wow, they're actually making progress or whatever. I wouldn't have seen the end coming, and I wouldn't have to spend the next 6 months worried to death about my job. I'd be down to do whatever, and I'd be in much higher spirits. But they chose instead to tell me their thoughts before they actually made a decision and have me stress out for the next 6 months over a decision that I have no control over and that my actions cannot change at all. They should never have brought me into that meeting. I don't know what they were thinking. So, and that's where I'm at. And I've gone through a whole range of emotions, yes. I should mention that the last video I talked about getting a potential job offer from another person, and actually it wasn't a job offer. It was them calling to let me know that they were passing on me, which I appreciated because in all honesty, I didn't want the job. It was going to pay way less than what I needed, and it was a job that I wasn't really even comfortable doing. It was something that I just kind of panicked my way into. They did me a favor by passing on me, and I'm glad they did, because it was when the moment I got that call, I was like panicking because I did not want to take that job. I've made the decision for myself that they're going to lay me off. I'm not leaving the company. I'm not giving them that benefit. I'm not doing that favor for them, because I know them laying me off is going to look terrible no matter how they slice it. They've never laid off an employee, with my long standing in the company before. And with all the changes and all the things that have been happening in the past couple of years, it's going to really affect the rest of the employees at the company. They don't want that to happen, but they also don't want to keep me on either at my rate of pay. Even though I presented an option to the CEO of the company that I feel is a win-win for everyone, the fact that they're just simply not interested tells me all I need to know about my future with the company. So I'm just waiting. So really, this is going to be the last video for a while, because there's not really much more to say unless some catastrophe happens or I end up just getting super frustrated and quit or whatever. I don't know. One thing I am almost entirely positive of is that if July is my last month, then I'm going to just ride out my unemployment. And then next year, the wife and I are going to sell the house, sell the Wrangler, sell the camper, sell a bunch of other personal items, and make plans to move. But before we do that, we're gonna through hike the Appalachian Trail. It's something we've always talked about, and we've already gone out there and section hiked it several times. We think if we're gonna ever have a chance to do it, that would be the time. Call it me putting a positive spin on a situation like this, but it's all I got, you know. And a lot of people say, "Oh, well, you'll land on your feet. You know, everything's going to be fine for you, man. Everything with 20 years of experience in video production, you'll land on your feet. Everything will be fine." There's so much more to that I can't even go into at this point because I've already spent so much time recounting my past that there's a lot of reasons why that's just never going to be the case. Video production jobs are, even in larger areas, I can't go into it. I can't get into it. I really can't. But maybe I'll do something on that later. I doubt it, but whatever. So, yeah, that's basically it. You know, it's just a waiting game at this point. A lot of shit work. A lot of meaningless. Keep your spirits up, buddy. Keep trying. Like, what else am I gonna do? But yeah, that's pretty much it. Pretty much it. So until something else happens, I appreciate everyone following along, and this pretty much sums it up.